Hey guys, today I will be going into my story on the 27th anniversary of my adoption.
Yeah, Gotcha Day. Gotcha Day is a very important day in Sean's life. It is the day that he was adopted from his family. And that was 23 years ago.
27 years.
27 years ago. Woo!
Yeah.
27 years. And not only is Gotcha Day a very important day, but this is also around the time that Sean and I met and started our friendship and brotherhood. And that was, Sean just told me, 11 years ago.
2011.
2011. Or would that make it
2010.
2010 it was, because it was 11 years ago. Wow. And in those 11 years we went through a lot of stuff, and that's kind of the purpose and the meaning behind this video today, is to tell a little bit about Sean's story.
We've had some memorable moments, we've had some nuts.
Yeah.
We've had some dark moments. Like, the darkest period of my life was like when the back started to flare up.
Yeah, that was about right before you and I had met. Your back was starting to flare up, and
I couldn't move. I couldn't eat.
Yeah, you were.
I couldn't do anything, literally.
Yeah, you were stuck in a pretty uncomfortable posture as well, because the way that your back was curved, and they needed to put 3 rods? 2 rods in the back. But the big thing was, when you and I had first met, was in order to get those 2 rods in your back, they wouldn't feel comfortable doing the surgery unless you were at a certain weight. And it was really hard because you were in so much pain and discomfort that you didn't want to eat. And it was hard to get those calories in you and get that weight up. And it took a little while, and we eventually got to the point where your weight was high enough they could do the surgery.
I was like, you know what? I just couldn't take it. Like, mentally, I just couldn't.
It was a lot, man. I remember you used to have the heating pads. You used to have to do the physical therapy all the time. It was rough. It was really rough, and that was a tough time for you.
Believe me, the worst period of my life, I thought.
Yeah, but the good thing is once you had that surgery, you were able to sit at a more comfortable posture. Your chair was a little bit more fitted towards how you were feeling then, and things started to go on the more positive side, but it was rough.
But I couldn't play my video game. That's something I enjoyed doing.
Yeah, so when your back was like that?
When my back was like, before the launch, I used to be an excellent gamer.
Yeah. So what happened that made it more difficult to then start using playing the video games?
Like, it took away my like, back then I used to just, before the launch, I would lean.
Yeah. You had a little bit more flexibility.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you were able to kind of position yourself in a way that you could play the video games a little bit better.
Yeah.
And then when the rods came in, you kind of lost that a little bit because it, took away from that. So that was tough. Because, you used to play games all the time, and we were game freaks. Sean and I would sit here for hours and just play all types of old school, new school, games from Japan. Like,
we would even play a rugby league for you guys down under.
Yeah.
My uncle imported it.
Yeah. What team were you? The Giants, right?
We would switch between the NRL in Australia and the Super League for you guys in the UK.
Yep. So the Huddersfield Giants, right?
Yeah.
And then what was it? The Rhinos?
The Leeds Rhinos.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah, those are the two teams. And dude, we would go for hours on those games.
We used to go off.
The big hits, man.
I miss those days, man.
We even used to play the
Deadliest Warrior game.
The Deadliest Warrior game. We would play.
We would watch every Deadliest Warrior ever.
Yeah, so for the people who might not know, right? Deadliest Warrior was a TV show on Spike. It's no longer Spike anymore. That's not even
Paramount Plus.
It's Paramount Plus now. It's not even the name of the channel.
This is old school.
This is old school. So we used to watch The Deadliest Warrior, right? And that was our show, right? So we would watch it, and what it was is it would take two warriors from history, and it would pit their tactics, their personality, their weapons, all against each other, and then at the end it would simulate a battle to see who would win. Right? So we would watch those things, and then there was a Deadliest Warrior video game, and we would play the Deadliest Warrior video game.
You know, there are a couple of episodes that
He's still on this. He will not, I know where he's going. He has never let this go. Go ahead, say what you gotta say. I know where you're going. Go ahead, say it.
How in the planet of British Columbia did Sun Tzu the ultimate mastermind?
I knew. Okay, so Sun Tzu, he coined the book and the phrase "The Art of War."
Which is my mentor.
Yeah, so The Art of War was his book. He was thought as one of the greatest leaders.
The
god of war, right? He knew the tactics. He put the psychology in there. He was the god of war. But in Deadliest Warrior, he lost against...
He moved into a cold-blooded, inspired Vlad
the Impaler. So he loses to Vlad the Impaler. And Sean is not a fan of this whatsoever because in his mind, he's thinking Vlad the Impaler is this brute. He's got no psychology. He's just a ruthless guy. Just runs through stuff, right? And then here comes Sun Tzu, who's like very calculated, very smart, intelligent, uses psychology in the battle. And he loses. Pretty handedly, too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that one he did not agree with.
And I'm still...
He'll still talk about it. He'll still randomly bring it up at the most crazy moments. He'll be like, I can't believe Sun Tzu lost to Vlad the Impaler. Then going on the shows that we would watch together,
that was a one-on-one fight.
That was before they started doing team battles.
When did you put 5-on-5, Sun Tzu with the win?
And I think this was the one that bothered me the most. Was in the first season they wouldn't do historical figures. They would just do like general, like gladiator, Spartan, stuff like that, right?
Another one that bothers me, the Count versus the person immortal.
Mine isn't that though. Mine is the pirate versus the knight. Okay, and this is the reason why. Not that I disagree with the outcome, but I didn't like the matchup because the knight was pre-guns. Pre-gunpowder, so the knight was battling with swords and armors, and the pirate had a gun. So the pirate won at the end, but he had a gun. It made no sense. So that's the one I disagree with. But do you remember what we started watching after we kind of went through our Deadliest Warrior kick?
Ultimate
Knockout. I knew you would get. We went through this kick for months. We would go out and we'd get lunch, right? And I'd be like, dude, we're going back. We got to watch Ultimate Knockout. And it was this show that was like totally random. Like it didn't have any like rhyme or reason or anything, but like it was just like all these knockouts from like UFC and like Taekwondo and like even like in real life, like people just getting knocked out. Dude, we laughed so much. That was a good time too. Was that pre-surgery?
Yeah, that was like So, what I'm gonna say now is, like, for those of you who think I'm a baseball player, I'm a basketball player, that's where the video games come in.
Mm-hmm.
Because I might tell you that I'm a baseball player, but I'm honestly not. You might think of me as a minor league prospect, but I'm really not, okay? What I'm doing is, like, since I can't do it physically, that's where the imagination and my creativity comes in.
Yeah, and you would get really into the mentality and the imagination of the game and really live that sports journey through that game. And what was the game that we were playing where you were the minor league prospect, the pitcher? Was it
MLB 12? So, I mean, I had you tell them about the stuff that I had.
Were you on the Mets?
I was everywhere, but I couldn't find the mirror.
Yeah.
I represented the U.S. twice.
Yep. Yeah, represented the U.S. twice. You were on the Mets. You were part of a trade to Seattle.
Around everywhere. Talk about my pitching also.
Yeah, so the classic fastball had a lot of velocity, a lot of movement, right? But he had the junk, right? So your second go-through was the screwball, right?
Which is like an old school.
It's an old school. It's almost like a reverse slider. As it's cutting, it cuts out instead of in.
Which is barely even used anymore.
I don't think anybody uses it anymore. It was an old school pitch.
I mean, but my fastball was nasty.
Yeah, it was.
I don't think I threw a ball at like one.
No, and you would start like your fastball was your primary pitch, your primary go-to pitch, and it helped you jump up quick into AA and AAA.
But after that success, but I couldn't make it into the majors.
No.
But like, I've spent 10 years playing in Japan.
Then that was the other thing. So then Spirit Baseball, right?
Professional Baseball Spirit.
That was the Japanese baseball game that Sean actually got sent over from Japan. Like, it's in all Japanese. And that's when you went over there to Japan to play, and you had an insane career in Japan, right?
Yeah, look, I know, but when I was watching baseball in the Tokyo 2020 Olympics,
yep, I
knew some of those guys.
Yeah.
I literally knew that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it was incredible. And then, moving on from baseball, we did a lot with hockey. But hockey was old school. We didn't play a new game. We played
NHL 11
on
NHL like foot.
Yeah.
PSV.
Yeah.
That is where I spent almost the majority of my career in Switzerland.
Switzerland, that's right. That's right.
For SC Bern.
Yeah?
Man, oh man.
Were you a goalie?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I made like 70 stops a game.
It was crazy.
But
no, that was awesome. And then
we would move on to the Olympics, which I'm unbelievably passionate about.
Okay. I'll do a deep cut with you. Let's see if you. I want to see if he remembers this one.
Yeah.
Do you remember? Okay, the time that you and I played with each other in a game, and it was synchronized diving.
Yes,
do you remember that?
That's when we were partners, and because in one of the events you would only have another controller.
Yes.
In order to do the synchronized diving, you would have to get another controller.
That was not easy.
but I would just, it's, like I said, video games help me with my athleticism
and
creativity.
Then another time, I've never seen Sean so at home in his life. He had an event with his school. He's in the Best Buddies program, and Sean and I went to an ice rink. Remember this?
Yeah.
And we went out on the ice, and Sean was just like at home, like he belongs in that goaltender's box, like he belongs there. Like I've never seen him so at home.
You start calling it fucker's office.
Dude, really. It was just unreal. And that was really cool too. And then we moved on to I think the last game that we started playing before we kind of took a lull out of the video games was the WWE games.
Yeah. And I would do now, I am a live wire of a personality.
Yep.
I have a parkour background. Not physically, but
yep.
I would do all these crazy, high flying moves, oh man, Sami Zayn, man. I would model my game after Sami Zayn.
Yep.
Who is now a heel.
He's not a heel. Yep. But I think one of the amazing things about Sean that I've always appreciated was
the lack of creativity over physicality.
I love that. Yes, I do love that. But I think one of the things I love most is that you are such an incredible eye for talent and upcoming trends. Right? So I can honestly, this is 100% true. Sean started putting me on to the very popular show American Ninja Warrior way before it blew up. Like, way before. He was watching the Japanese original, what was it called? Sasuke. He was watching that before American Ninja Warrior was a thing. So then he starts showing me the American Ninja Warrior first 3 seasons, right? And he was way ahead of the trend. He knew all of these things. And that's not just the only case. He's done this with young athletes. He's done this with sporting events that are starting to blow up. Like, he's truly got that eye for what the next step is going to be.
And another passion of mine is the Youth Olympics.
Mm-hmm. Big passion, as you can tell.
I started watching the Youth Olympics out of nowhere 7 years ago.
Yeah.
Not in 2014, and it kind of but the first Youth Olympics I did seriously was Lillehammer in 2016.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to my boy Hakon.
Hakon's a good guy.
He's a young kid, but you want to... Hakon would quiz me about Norway and stuff.
Yeah.
And I would just...
Would you nail it?
Yeah.
So what is it now that you're really into? So what is it that's kind of on your radar now?
Honestly, I'm really into this tennis, Michael is to visit the ESPN studio, and honestly, I want to meet Emma Raducanu.
Yeah, Emma's his top tier right now. He has. I mean, obviously she won the U.S. Open, so she's
it's not like a crush or anything.
No, just admiration for her skill.
It's Emma's I would describe it as the sort of kid that you want to do if you're having a bad day.
Yes.
I mean, You can't say a bad thing about them, honestly.
No. Well, and you can't say a bad thing about yourself either. I think that's why you guys would get along so well, because I can say, honestly, in 11 years, I've been with Sean a lot of time. And I can't remember a day that you did not have a positive attitude.
We have a knack for languages.
Yeah.
That's, what do you think? One of the top 5, like, Emma and I would get along, like...
Oof, God. So, I don't know. I don't know if it's a list as much as it's just, like, I think that you guys have a lot of similarities. You have a lot of personality similarities from what it seems. You have a lot of the same passions and views. I think that you guys would really hit it off and could have a really in-depth conversation about a lot of these things.
The thing I would get into though with them is like, how would you inspire the next generation? It's like, how are you doing with how can we make the wheelchair tennis more noticeable on TV?
Yeah, that's a great idea.
It's time for wheelchair tennis to step up and make an impact.
I love that. I agree. Yeah, I think that's, having that inclusion as well. That's another thing that Sean's always been a super big advocate of, is the inclusion of that sort of stuff.
Just because we have a disability, just because I have a disability, doesn't mean I have world-class potential in YouTubing.
Absolutely not. And I think that Sean did a project his senior year in high school where...
On disability awareness.
You want to tell a little bit about it?
Well, the whole school volunteered to be disabled for that particular day.
You had one guy who had to use a wheelchair, one guy who had to wear a blindfold, right?
Yeah.
So he could see what it was like to not have his vision.
Yeah, and I would and they would like what it was like. Yeah. Of all the people that did the job, only 4 people dropped out.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's saying something too. 4 people couldn't handle it, right? It's a very underestimated. It's very taken for granted your ability to have these things. And I think that's what's so incredible, is that you're bringing that to the forefront.
Yeah. Also, I'm very thankful to see like a lot of YouTubers have influenced me. Yeah. Emma Stevens has influenced me big time. Yeah. I have a lot of favorite YouTubers.
Yeah. That's awesome. I think, so is there anything else as a part of your story that you would like to share?
I may be different, but at the end of the day, I'm here to make an impact, and I'm here to say, at the end of the day, it's all about putting a smile on anybody's face. Yep. No matter if you're a world-class athlete or not. Yep. And I have the ability, and I want to make... The best part is like, if you made someone smile, that's a heck of an impact. Yeah.
Absolutely. I think that, and I think that you have...
You may not know me at first, but I will say that within 5 minutes, you will get to know it.
Absolutely. You're an open book. Yeah. And I have to say, if in 5 minutes you can get to know you after 11 years, of knowing you, I can say that you are the best person I know and my best friend. And I love you, and you know that.
Yeah.
And I think that, having you reach out and have the ability to reach out to more people is so important, because I genuinely think you have such an amazing attitude and outlook and philosophy to get out to the world.
Yeah, I mean, it's been an unbelievable journey since. When did I start my YouTube journey? About?
Yeah, we started doing the videos a couple of years ago, and then recently we decided, you know what, we're not getting your personality out there enough, so that's why we switched to these videos, because I feel like Sean has a personality that does not translate well to the type of videos we were making, and that you need to be out there giving your personality and your, philosophy.
Yeah, I mean, shout out to Emma Stevens as well.
Yep.
Because I might need some help with, getting subscribers.
Yeah.
I have a lot. In your next vlog, because I gotta find out if Emma is doing a Q&A,
Yeah, so Sean, so that's the other thing. So, this is just this is just the tip of the iceberg for Sean's story. There's much more that we can get into, and much more that we can talk about, and we will in future videos.
You know it would be really cool to take YouTube on the road.
Hey,
I don't know how we can do that.
Hey, we can figure it out. I think that's another thing we want to do. We do want to, obviously the first couple of videos we're kind of testing out the water, seeing how this works and stuff, but Sean ideally also wants to turn this into, like a vlog where we can go on the road, do some stuff, show, what we have, what we experience and stuff like that. And also Sean is really into the idea of opening up a Q&A. So to any of his friends on Facebook or YouTube who might...
around the world, whether it's doesn't matter, anywhere in the world.
Yep.
Whether it's the UK.
Yeah. So please leave a comment below in this video, explain it and asking any questions that you might have for Sean. What his journey's like, what his daily life is like, what he's into, anything. Sean loves being able to answer those questions and, get his story out more and more. So if there's any specific part of his story you'd like to know, he would be more than happy to explain to you.
Also, I would it could be from any YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Shout out to my guys, Cricket for Americans. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. Yep. That's a good one, too. You watch that one a lot.
So, one last thing. People with disabilities can do anything they put their mind. You may doubt us, you may scout us, you may scout me, but don't doubt me.
I love it. I think that's the perfect way to close it out, my man. What do you think?
Yep.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching this video. There will be more like it coming up.
When's the next video?
I don't know. Soon. Very soon. We're going to have to brainstorm some topics, brainstorm some ideas. Maybe we'll stick to it and do a part 2 of this, kind of just riffing and talking about his story and stuff like that. Keeping it loose.
And next week, I was going to talk about the most memorable moments I've seen at that.
Most
memorable moments I've seen as a sports fan.
Ooh. A top 10?
No, one of the...
Or just one and go really in depth with it.
I'm just gonna go like one of my most memorable moments that I've seen that still gets me goosebumps to this day. Is the men's flip by one of it. 100 relays. Oh
my God. I just want to let you know, for the people who don't know Sean as well as I do, okay? He's serious. He loves that, and I love it too. We've watched it many times together. But he's also pushing my buttons right now. Look at that face. Look at that face. He's pushing my buttons. Okay. Next week, our next video, we will be talking about the men's 4x100 meter relay for swimming. That was in
the Battle of the
Pools, Sydney, Australia, 2000 Olympics.
You know what? I was gonna talk about the rivalry.
We got it all. We'll hit it all. We'll talk about the rivalry. We'll talk about the setup. We'll talk about the racers. We'll do the whole thing. And also, you're gonna see us battle for the first time, because he knows what he's doing. Because let me tell you one thing, I'm gonna take over a video one time, and my video is gonna be the next Olympics. That's what mine's gonna be. Yeah, that's right. You watch. It's gonna get feisty. I know what he's doing. He's trying to bring out the lion in me. All right. Yeah. See, look at that face. Don't let his face fool you. Okay. He knows how to push the buttons, and he just pushed it. And that's what we're gonna be talking about next week. All right, my man. Sign us off.
Stay calm. Stay cool. Stay better.
Thanks, guys.